Hi everybody, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Lisa Matowich-Brook and I'm going to be doing your next bundle, Panic Over Purpose. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I have been a therapist probably 23 years or so, but I always wasn't a trauma therapist. And now I am a performance coach using EMDR and mindfulness. So it makes me a little bit different than other coaches. And I'm going to tell you, EMDR is such a great thing that works for coaching because it gets rid of all of your unconscious belief that may affect performance. EMDR is kind of my passion. I'll tell you a little bit about it. You might not know what EMDR is. It stands for Eye Movement Desensitization Reprogramming. It was first designed by Dr. Shapiro for use with Vietnam vets that had PTSD, and she had great success. They didn't even meet the criteria for it. It's very different therapy. Everyone said couldn't be real. It was pseudoscience. I kept researching it, and it works. It's used all over the world for PTSD, for grief, and then they found more and more uses can be used for it. I think one of the biggest shames in the United States is the VA and the military was very slow to use EMDR for PTSD. They did a lot of these other therapies that didn't work. You're probably wondering, well, what does this have to do with me? And how does it affect my business? Well, having past trauma can really affect you. There are little traumas in life and there are big traumas. A lot of times, little traumas can affect us a lot more in our career or business. I was trained by a lady who was a really brilliant EMDR therapist. People, were like, oh, well, you speak at the conference, you train. She wrote a book. She, couldn't do it. Or this one time, or she would say she's going to speak. She would literally get up there, have such panic attacks she couldn't go on stage. It was really affecting her career. So she did an EMDR. You do these float backs, of why can't I go on stage? And sometimes our subconscious holds onto these things. And she had tried out for cheerleader as a 7th grader. She forgot her cheer in front of this big California gym. Everyone laughed at her. She was so humiliated. Subconsciously, she had decided not to ever, put herself out there in front of the public. She did the EMDR, was very successful, and as a speaker went on, cleared that, and so she went on to speak. Other ways that it can affect your career is somebody does get in an accident or have something later in life. They don't develop PTSD, but it can affect their career. I work with a very prominent individual executive, and he was in a head-on accident. A car came over into his lane, and he, he just became very traumatized. He didn't really have full-blown PTSD, he didn't think, but he started getting panic attacks in meetings, and all the time. He'd been in stressful meetings, and sometimes he'd get so overwhelmed he'd have to leave with panic attacks, and it was really affecting his career. We went back and we worked and processed how the accident had affected him, even though he was trying to think that it didn't affect him that much, because it kind of stopped his career and really affected his life. So a lot of small traumas can be childhood memories. Childhood bullying is something I do a lot. A lot of times I do, sometimes for example, I work with a lot of very gifted individuals. They were bullied as children. They may have had these people, even teachers and parents, telling they should have done better or they should know how to do things, and it kind of holds them back and makes them very resistant. So you can see how this affects your career. And sometimes people will I'm not really bothered by things. But sometimes the biggest thing that affects people in careers and in getting good relationships are things like divorce, bad breakups, maybe even having a husband or a partner that didn't believe in your career, was always telling you weren't good enough. Divorce can be something that I notice with women. I don't usually get women clients in right when they're being cheated on or divorced. It's very funny because men are the ones that come in. They're usually very suicidal, not always, but and just like they can't work or they really shut down. And I find a lot of times with women, they'll show up in my office a couple of years later and, oh yeah, I was divorced. Wasn't that traumatic? I just, but I didn't have time to think about it, process it. And sometimes I think maybe men are healthier in this way because they're in so much pain. They maybe get it taken care of. Where a lot of times, women have to take care of kids and things. And so they get all of the subconscious things and they don't, they don't take care of themselves, or they just suppress all the negative stuff, and it can take a toll in their business or life. And other times I've had people be very traumatized as children, extreme abuse, different things, and they have wonderful careers. I had worked with a woman that was like this multi-millionaire self business, but she had so many negative beliefs. Her problems came out in relationships. She couldn't say she loved you to anyone. She would kind of self-sabotage relationships. So what EMDR is, it uses bilateral stimulation and it helps to get out all the negative beliefs that you may have. What's really interesting, because I stop you with it, people will remember things that may have been traumatizing that they didn't even think bothered them, or that they even forgot. So that's a lot of proof of how the subconscious memories get down there. I really loved EMDR counseling, but I happened to take EMDR and performance coaching class, changed my life, fell in love with how EMDR can change performance. It's used to help like Olympic athletes, business executives and everything, to get rid of the subconscious that is holding you back. So I hope this kind of helps to explain a little bit about how I got into EMDR, and how we will use a little bit of bilateral stimulation throughout this course. Bilateral stimulation just means, like, if you're tapping like this is bilateral stimulation, and why EMDR is so powerful, because it engages both sides of the brain. Part of my training that's really unique to me is that I do the EMDR flash technique and mindfulness. I joined the course from Anne-Marie McKinley, who's a pretty famous coach. She's coached the royal family and like Harvard professors, and she does all these things. So she designed where you put EMDR with mindfulness and to get really amazing coaching results. So I hope I haven't gone on too long and bored you, but anyways, I'm excited about working with you in the bundle. Bye.